as I'm speaking these words, COVID-19 supposedly is starting to wane. They've lifted mandates here in Los Angeles. They've lifted the necessity or the rule to have to wear a mask indoors, and you don't have to be vaccinated or anything. They're removing that, and people are acting like COVID-19 is all done, and which is very premature in my opinion, because there's still over 2,000 cases of people dying a day, and there's still hundreds of thousands of cases all across the country. As I'm saying this, I think it's something like 60% of people have not been vaccinated even once, which means they're capable of spreading the disease and causing new variations in disease. But I don't want to get into that, but the point is, COVID is not over. I mean, anyone who believes it over is very foolish. The same thing happened back in 1918 when they had what they call the Spanish flu, which wiped out millions of people across the globe. There was a point where in the United States they thought that it was the same exact situation as today. They stopped wearing masks. Everyone declared that the Spanish flu was over. They held a big parade in Philadelphia, and as a result of that, people showed up. A lot of people in the crowd still had the Spanish flu. 1 million people died because of that, because of the idea that Spanish flu is done and it's okay to lower your guard. But I don't want to get into too much politics here. But today I want to talk about what are the best foods to eat if you have COVID-19. And also, these foods and nutrients are important because one of the worst things about COVID-19, well, the worst thing, of course, is death. I mean, it's true that most of the people that die are older, because as you get older, your immune response tends to wane in most people, especially people that aren't into good nutrition, who don't exercise regularly. As they get older, the immune system goes down with age. This is the reason why cancer has a much greater incidence in older people over 50 and a lot of other diseases because of less immune response. Also, the other people that are getting the most serious cases of COVID-19 are those that are, again, don't exercise and are overweight with a lot of body fat. Obesity is a huge risk factor for COVID-19 because when you have a lot of body fat, you have a lot of inflammation. Fat cells release over 100 different proteins. Fat is an active endocrine organ. It releases these proteins collectively called adipokines. Most of them are inflammatory. Now, when you get COVID, it's largely an inflammatory disease. So you can imagine you already have a lot of systemic inflammation in your body, and then you get infected with COVID, and you get even more infection. So when you put the two together, you have a very high-risk situation that could easily lead to death. And a little-known fact is that once you're on a respirator, if you get what they call, I forget the exact medical term, basically it's when your lungs fail. But when you get to that point, they have to put you on a respirator. They don't like to tell this to people, but your chance of survival once you're on a respirator are only 10%. Only 10% of people with COVID-19 who go on a respirator survive. So you don't want to get to that. You want to do everything you can to prevent COVID. My personal feeling at this point is that I'm not going to, speaking myself, I'm not going to let my guard down. I'm still going to wear a mask in public. I don't trust, there's too many people walking around that are not vaccinated that could be spreaders. And I know people might say, well, the vaccinated people could spread the disease too. No, the truth of the matter is two things. First of all, vaccinated people, especially people that have the 2 initial injections and the booster, carry much less, even if they get the virus, the titer or amount of virus they carry is much, much less than unvaccinated people. And they're also there's far less chance of vaccinated people spreading the disease. So there's no comparison. The dangerous people are the unvaccinated people, and you don't even show symptoms for the first 2 weeks. But in my personal opinion, one of the worst things about COVID-19, besides, of course, the death, is what they call long haul COVID. A lot of people who get mild cases of COVID, you'll hear them say this, you probably read it online. Oh, it was no worse than having a flu. Felt like a bad cold. Felt like I was a little bit tired for a couple of days, then I'm fine. So they attribute it to the fact that they seem to recover real fast. They attribute it to having a good immune system. Some of these people exercise and this and that, so they think it's a good. But here's a strange thing: 33% of those people that have even the mild cases of COVID-19 get what they call long haul COVID. This is what happens is after the primary disease seems to wane, the COVID-19 virus, SARS-CoV-2 it's called, causes damage. It could be anywhere in the body. If it affects the brain, you have a brain fog where you can't focus. It feels almost like dementia. You can't concentrate. That could last permanently. It can cause permanent heart damage. It can cause permanent muscular damage. It can cause permanent connective tissue damage. It can cause, as I said, it can cause muscle damage, kidney damage. All these things can happen with long COVID, and guess what? They don't wane. Nobody knows how long they last, but people that have gotten long COVID, and most of these people, again, had mild initial cases of COVID-19. A lot of the people that have had these long haul symptoms for at least 2 years after the initial disease. Here's the point: you want to do everything you can to strengthen your immune system and prevent COVID. If you have a strong immune system and a good self-defense in the body, it decreases your risk of long haul COVID considerably. Poor nutrition is associated with increased inflammation and oxidative stress. And both inflammation and oxidative stress are elevated, as I said earlier, when you have COVID-19. It adds to it. So COVID-19, it negatively affects nutrition status because, among other things, it decreases your appetite, and it can limit your access to nutritious foods, and it also, at the same time, increases your need for certain vitamins, such as vitamin D, which is very, very closely allied to immune response. As a matter of fact, I saw a study that came out a week ago. The studies with vitamin D go back and forth. One study says it doesn't do anything with COVID-19. The other one says it does. This newest study said that, if anything, vitamin D has a very, very strong effect at preventing the most serious effects of COVID-19. In other words, it might help prevent you from having to go on a respirator. It might even help to prevent the long haul COVID. So vitamin D is very important. A lot of these nutrients that I'm about to talk about have anti-inflammatory and antioxidant effects. And as I said, with COVID-19, both of those things increase inflammation and oxidation. So let's talk about vitamin D, since that's the first one, since that's most spoken about when you talk about nutrients for COVID-19. And by the way, I should mention, a couple of months ago, I wrote an article in my Applied Metabolics newsletter, www.appliedmetabolics.com. It was probably I would say the biggest article I've ever written so far in Applied Metabolics. This one article alone, I could have divided it up, but I wanted to give all the information in one article. This article alone is 50 pages by itself. If you include all the links to references and other material about nutrition and exercise in COVID-19, it probably would come out to over 200 pages. So if you really want to know, it's easily the most in-depth article I've ever seen anywhere on the nutritional and exercise relationship to COVID-19. But getting back to vitamin D is a fat-soluble vitamin, which means it must be ingested with fat, and it exerts an anti-inflammatory effect. It suppresses the overactivity of the immune system, and that's a problem with COVID-19. You get an overactivity of the immune system. You get these proteins that are released by immune cells called inflammatory cytokines, and that's what causes it's called ARD. That's what causes the serious lung problem that some people get when they get infected with COVID-19, where they have to be put on a respirator. That's actually caused by an overactivity of the immune system, where the immune system basically starts to attack the lungs. And the things that do this are called inflammatory cytokines. Vitamin D comes into play because it suppresses the release of these inflammatory cytokines, and that alone could prevent you from having to go on a respirator, and it could also prevent you from dying. Vitamin D also acts on what they call the angiotensin converting enzyme 2, ACE2. That's the receptor in lungs and fat tissue that the SARS-CoV-2 virus, that's the virus that causes COVID-19, that's what it attaches onto to get into cells and actually infect you. So the vitamin D interacts with the ACE2 receptors, as they're called, that actually it's a kind of a competitive inhibition. The vitamin D will prevent the SARS-CoV-2 virus from attaching onto the ACE2 receptor. And if that happens, then you either get a very mild case of COVID if you get it at all, or you don't get COVID at all. I mean, there's not a lot of proof that vitamin D will completely prevent COVID, but it is known to bind to the ACE2 receptor, which the SARS-CoV virus that causes COVID attaches to it. And if the virus can't attach to the receptor, it can't make you sick. So vitamin D, you can see, is very important. Of course, vitamin D is the only free vitamin. You can get it from going out in the sun, but there's caveats involved. I mentioned this in previous videos. To get vitamin D from the sun, well, more specifically ultraviolet rays, it has to be a certain wavelength of ultraviolet light. And you only get that when the sun is at a certain angle in the sky. In northern latitudes during the winter, the sun is not in the right place in the sky. So you could, I mean, it's cold back there, but you could walk around naked and you won't get any vitamin D synthesis because you're not getting the right ultraviolet ray spectrum. Also, if you are black, if you have darker skin, if you're black, you don't produce enough vitamin D from the sun. Also, if you're obese, what happens when obese people, is that the vitamin D, instead of circulating the blood and being converted into the hormonal form of vitamin D or the active form of vitamin D, 25-hydroxycholecalciferol, in the liver and kidneys, instead the vitamin D is sequestered in body fat. If you have a lot of body fat, remember, vitamin C is fat soluble. It'll be pushed into the body fat rather than be used. So you lose the protection and older people vitamin D is actually produced in the skin from the action of ultraviolet rays on cholesterol in the skin. And when you get older, apparently the system breaks down. Older people aren't efficient at converting cholesterol in the skin into vitamin D upon exposure to UV light. So that leaves food. What foods to eat if you want to get vitamin D? I should point out 80% of people get their vitamin D from the sun, and the remaining 20% get it from diet. They don't go in the sun. Which are the vitamin D foods? If you're going to get it from food, which ones do you want to get it from? Well, cod liver oil used to be an old supplement they used to give. All the way back in the 1900s, a lot of your grandparents were given cod liver oil when you were children. It was basically when they were children. It was basically the first form of fish oil. Unfortunately, it also was loaded with both vitamin D and vitamin A. So there was a toxicity problem if you took too much, because not so much vitamin D, but vitamin A can easily accumulate of the daily value of vitamin D. And I should also point out the daily value of vitamin D is something like 800 units or something like that. That might be enough to prevent a deficiency of vitamin D, but it won't bring you up to the optimal levels of vitamin D that would offer protective effects against COVID-19. For that, the normal level, just so you know, the normal level of vitamin D as measured in a lab test would be 30 nanograms per deciliter. 30. It starts at 30. But the optimal levels to increase your immune response and offer some protection against COVID-19, you want to have it in anywhere from the 50 to 70 nanograms. For that, it's very difficult to get vitamin D in food. For that, you'd probably have to take a vitamin D supplement, little tiny pills, very small gelatin pills. You can find the one I take, each pill contains 2,500 units of vitamin D. It's vitamin D3, which is the more active form. There's two forms, D2 and D3. You want to stick with D3. That's the more active form of vitamin D. I take 2 of those pills a day. It gives me 5,000 units. That's a good amount of vitamin D. But the minimal you should take, if you're going to take in supplement form, would be 2,000 units. That'll bring up your activated vitamin D level to probably about 40 to 50, which is good. Now, herring contains 20%. Other foods that contain vitamin D, herring contains 27% of the daily value. Egg yolk contains a little bit. Sardines, but these foods really, you'd have to eat so much of it that all of these are for 5-ounce portions. So to get the amount needed to give you the therapeutic level of vitamin D, you'd have to eat a couple of pounds of these foods. Nobody's going to do that. So the only real way to get vitamin D is to take it in supplement form. There is one food that is unusually rich in vitamin D, and strangely enough, it's suitable for vegetarians, and these are what they call irradiated mushrooms. So if you could find irradiated mushrooms, which are mushrooms exposed to light, they are actually loaded with vitamin D, and as I said, they're suitable for vegans. Also, vegans. They're suitable for vegans. And, I mentioned vitamin A, but carotenoids and vitamin A. Carotenoids would be what they call provitamin A. They're converted into vitamin A. Substances such as beta carotene is an example. Carotenoids, they're antioxidants. They're like pigments. They come in red, green, yellow, orange. They're things that give colors to various fruits and vegetables. Carrots are orange because of the beta carotene they contain. There's over 700 carotenoids have been identified, but only 30 are found in the human body. And again, vitamin E is a beta carotene is a precursor to vitamin A. However, it should be also stated that diabetics, because of certain problems, cannot convert. Most of them can't convert beta carotene into vitamin A. So if you're a full-blown type 2 diabetic, you're going to have to take vitamin A in supplement form or get it from food. Similarly to vitamin D, vitamin A is a fat-soluble nutrient, meaning you have to take it with a little bit of fat. You don't need a lot. Let's say a tablespoon of fish oil, or 1 or 2 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil. That's enough fat. A couple of pats of butter on whatever you want to put it on. That will also give you enough fat to absorb fat-soluble vitamins such as vitamin A and D and E and K. By the way, if you're going to take larger amounts of vitamin D, I also advise that you take vitamin K. When I'm talking larger amounts, I'm talking about anything over 5,000 units. It's a good idea to take at least 100 milligrams of vitamin K2, which consists of 2 forms, K4 and K7. What they will do is one of the things that vitamin D has long been known to do, it increases the absorption of calcium. And some people, not all, if they take more than 10,000 units of D a day for a long time, they can get calcium depositions in areas of the body where the calcium is not supposed to be, like the arteries. You don't want to have calcium in your arteries. As a matter of fact, there's a heart test called the calcium score. It measures the degree of calcification in the carotid arteries on the neck, and that's a good if you have a lot of calcium there, that's a harbinger of a future heart attack or stroke. So the vitamin K will prevent vitamin D from putting calcium where it shouldn't be. So if you take anything more than 5,000 units of D, absolutely essential to take a vitamin K supplement, which, by the way, is also fat soluble. And you want to go for the K2 form, not the K1 form. The K1 form is the one that's found in a lot of vegetables. It's very good for blood clotting. It does nothing to help calcium deposition. It's got to be K2. Again, two forms, K4 and K7. The K7 is a very long-acting one. You don't have to take it every day. You can take it every 2 days or even every 3 days. Now, vitamin A reduces inflammation, oxidative stress. It enhances the immune response. And again, because of that, it can decrease the severity of COVID-19. Vitamin A deficiency is one of the most widespread nutritional deficiencies in the world, and it causes something called night blindness, where you can't see at night. It's not so common in the United States because people eat foods that contain vitamin A, which I'm about to mention. So, the best foods for vitamin A are usually dark green leafy vegetables, and organ meats. Liver is loaded with vitamin A. Beef liver, chicken liver, other fish like king mackerel. Goat cheese is a good source. Cooked sweet potatoes, excellent source of beta carotene. That's what gives it that color. Collard greens, raw carrots, again, beta carotene, and raw spinach. These are all natural sources of vitamin A. Probably of all the minerals, the one most associated with a protective effect against COVID-19 is the trace mineral zinc. A zinc deficiency has been closely associated with an increased risk of infection and much poorer outcomes in people infected with COVID-19. Zinc is absolutely necessary for the function of the immune system. If you're low in zinc or deficient in zinc, you're in trouble if you get COVID-19 because it'll get deep in your body and cause serious problems. Zinc itself also offers antioxidant, anti-inflammatory effects, and it can reduce the risk of heart disease. It supports eye health, and again, absolutely essential for immune health. With COVID-19, zinc will help to reduce the effect of having a concomitant bacterial infection. In other words, a lot of people, because the immune system is down when they have COVID-19, they can get bacterial infections on top of the viral infection from COVID. And zinc actually helps to protect against those bacterial infections. And zinc also, just like vitamin D, it will decrease the activity of the ACE2 receptors, which again are the target of the SARS-CoV-2 virus that causes AIDS. Again, if you block the receptors, the virus can't do anything. It has to interact with those receptors. So you don't want to take huge amounts of zinc. I mean, the daily requirement is only 11 milligrams. But if you want a little extra immune protection, I'd say to go up to about 15, maybe maximum 20. If you go over that, if you get to like 50, you're going to have to balance it out with copper, because zinc and copper have a yin-yang relationship. Too much copper causes zinc excretion, too much zinc causes copper excretion. If you take large amounts of zinc for an extended time, you could wind up with a copper deficiency, and that can lead to a certain type of anemia and also breakdown of the aorta, which is the large artery leading from the heart. You don't want that to happen. So the foods rich in zinc include ground beef, which contains 41% of it's about 6 milligrams per 5 ounce portion. Dark chocolate, 85% cocoa. It has to be the really dark chocolate. Oysters are famous for having zinc. That's why they consider it sex food, because zinc is needed for the synthesis of testosterone and insulin and a couple other hormones, also for growth hormone release. Those are lentils, pumpkin seeds. These are all good sources of zinc. Unfortunately, vegetables contain, I've written an article about this in my Applied Metabolics newsletter. They contain what they call anti-nutrients, such as phytic acid and oxalic acid, that unfortunately could lock on to the zinc naturally contained in some of the vegetable foods. So there's a little bit of a problem there. So vegans, vegans, I guess it is. Is it vegans or vegans? They have to be careful of their zinc intake, because they could easily get deficient in zinc if they solely depend on vegetarian foods. So they got to be careful, because the best sources of zinc, as you know from the list I just read, are animal protein foods. Another good nutrient to take to help to decrease the severity of COVID-19 and possibly prevent long-haul COVID would be omega-3 fatty acids. There's two kinds of essential fatty acids, omega-6, omega-3. Omega-6 is typified by linoleic acid. It's found everywhere. It's in all kinds of things, meat, bread, you name it, vegetables. Very unlikely to be deficient in omega-6, but it's a little bit harder to get omega-3. The official omega-3 fatty acid listed as essential is called alpha-linoleic acid, and the reason that that's considered essential is because it's found in a much larger variety of foods compared to the far more active bioavailable omega-3 fatty acids, which is eicosapentaenoic acid and docosahexaenoic acid, or more simply put, EPA and DHA. These are found almost exclusively in marine foods, meaning fatty fish. If you don't eat fatty fish, there's a good chance you're not going to be getting the preformed omega-3. And as far as alpha-linoleic acid, the body can only convert maybe 1 to 2% of alpha-linoleic acid into DHA. DHA is very important for brain health. 40% of your brain is composed of fat, and a lot of that fat is DHA. So as far as the COVID-19, omega-3 fats come into play. And I'm talking here, and when I say omega-3, I'm referring to the preformed EPA and DHA, not ALA. The omega-3 fats reduce inflammation, and because of that, they can actually help to prevent the worst possible scenario of COVID-19, which is cytokine storm. As I said, that's the thing that causes acute respiratory distress syndrome. That's what I was trying to remember earlier. ARD, acute respiratory distress syndrome. That's the thing that makes you have to go on a respirator. It selectively destroys your lungs. And because of omega-3's anti-inflammatory effect, it has a potential to protect against, again, the worst effect of COVID-19, cytokine storms. The omega-3 becomes part of cell membranes, and by doing so, it helps to prevent the production of these inflammatory cytokines that are the heart of cytokine storm that causes those problems. But omega-3 might help improve mood and anxiety, although some recent studies which looked at the effect of omega-3 fatty acids on depression unfortunately found no effect on depression. However, that could be related to the fact that these studies used low doses of omega-3, something like 1 to 2 grams. To get an antidepressant effect, you'd have to probably go to 4 or 5 grams and up. So again, omega-3, again, the foods that contain preformed omega-3 fatty fish, sardines, mackerel, salmon, halibut, anchovies, I did say salmon, right? Yeah, salmon, yeah. All these foods contain the preformed. I'm not even going to bother telling you about the foods that contain alpha-linoleic acid, because I think it's ridiculous to recommend that if you're talking about omega-3, because your body converts so little of alpha-linoleic acid into the active omega-3, EPA and DHA. The conversion is so low, it's ridiculous to recommend that. You're not going to get a therapeutic effect. I'm not saying ALA is bad. It's just not good for this purpose. When people first started talking about nutrition and COVID-19, a frequent topic was vitamin C. I saw one video where this woman who was supposed to be a researcher, she went on a show and she gave a protocol of vitamin C, both intravenous and oral, where she had some, I believe I remember correctly, this was about 2 years ago, she was telling people to take immediately, as soon as you realize you've been infected, get an intravenous 15,000 milligrams of vitamin C, and after that take 2,000 milligrams a day, 2 to 5,000 milligrams a day of vitamin C for 2 weeks, and it will completely prevent, this is what she said, it'll completely prevent the COVID-19 from causing any problems in your body. In other words, apparently she says it'll do nothing. Unfortunately, that's never been proven. Vitamin C, however, does reduce oxidative stress. Again, increased oxidative stress is a problem with COVID-19, and improves endothelial function. One of the problems with COVID-19 is it interferes. Endothelium is the lining of arteries. It's the area where a form of nitric oxide is produced from the amino acid arginine. Unfortunately, COVID-19, the SARS-CoV-2 virus, interferes with that, and as a result, it causes damage to endothelium. That not only causes high blood pressure, which is a real big problem with COVID-19, but it also causes decreased NO, nitric oxide synthesis, and that's itself will cause high blood pressure and cause a lot of the heart problems that are associated with COVID-19. COVID-19 might help prevent one of the, again, serious side effects of COVID-19, which is a very serious form of pneumonia, and it can also possibly help prevent bacterial infections such as sepsis, which they used to call blood poisoning, which has a 50% mortality rate on its own. So again, there's not really been solid. They did a couple of studies where they did give large amounts of intravenous vitamin C. Unfortunately, it did not cure COVID-19. So don't look at it as a cure. Look at it as a way of making the disease possibly milder and possibly preventing maybe the more serious events that can occur with COVID-19. You know, the best food source of vitamin C, fruits and vegetables. Potatoes have a little bit. Sweet peppers are really loaded. Red sweet pepper contains 142% of the recommended amount of vitamin C, which is only 90 milligrams a day. It's not much. To get a therapeutic effect, you'd probably have to take at least 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C. Again, it'd probably be easier to take in a supplement form. I take vitamin C in a supplement form. I take about 1,000 to 2,000 milligrams a day. If you take excess amounts of vitamin C, it's only going to be peed right out because your body reaches its limit of vitamin C absorption at an oral dose of 200 milligrams. Meaning, if you take more than 200 milligrams, anything over that is pissed right out. You don't hold on to it. So that's about it. I think. Oh wow! I didn't realize this this video went pretty long, but I thought that it might be interesting to talk about some of these nutrients. And again, if you want much more detail about many other nutrients that I didn't discuss in this video, because it's already going too long, it's over 30 minutes. Subscribe to my Applied Metabolics newsletter. If you look, they have a little search box on the site. Just put in COVID-19. Once you're a subscriber, it'll bring up that gigantic article. You could read it in parts. Don't try and read it at once. It'll take you a couple hours, but it'll really educate you as far as the true effects of nutrition and exercise on COVID-19. By the way, I should mention a recent study came out that showed, this is good news for bodybuilders and athletes, it showed that when athletes and bodybuilders get COVID-19, they almost never progress to the really serious effects of COVID-19, such as death or having to be put on a respirator. And that almost never happens with bodybuilders and athletes. The reason being, two reasons: low body fat, which means less inflammation, less oxidative stress, and also because of exercise, bodybuilders and athletes tend to have better immune systems. So that's good news for bodybuilders and athletes. So again, if you want further information about nutrition, exercise science, hormonal therapy, anti-aging research you can use today, supplement science, which supplements work, which ones don't. I'm not going to hold back. I'm not associated. I'm not on like a lot of these people on the internet. They're pushing either their own line of supplements or they're on the payroll of supplement companies. They're not going to give you the truth. They're trying to make money off you. I have no axe to grind. I'm not associated with any supplement company. If a supplement is crap, I'm going to expose it and tell you, because I'm all for integrity and honesty and truth. I'm one of the last bastions of truth, not bastard, bastions. Look it up if you don't know what the word means, of truth on the internet. So, if you really want to know the truth about supplements, you read my Applied Metabolics newsletter. I talk about ergogenic aids, which are supplements and foods that will increase work efficiency, help you to train harder. I talk about, what else? I mentioned anti-aging, women's health and fitness. I don't leave the women out. I talk about that. It's Applied Metabolics is anywhere from 40 to 50 pages a month. No ads, just pure information. And also, I include my nearly 60 years of experience, both in the trenches, meaning in the gym, and as in a personal study. I started studying nutrition when I was 12, and I've been studying it all this time. So I've accumulated, anyone who knows me or read my materials or seen my videos, they get a good idea of how much knowledge I've accumulated. I don't think there's many people that, I know this sounds like hubris. Again, look up that word if you don't know what it means, but I don't think there's many people that can match my, I don't claim to know everything, and I don't even know everything about nutrition, but I do know a lot, and I know a lot more than a lot of other people who do claim to be experts. And you'll find all this in my Applied Metabolics newsletter. Now, no matter what your level of education, you'll learn something from Applied Metabolics. Trust me, I guarantee it. Give it a shot. It's not expensive. It costs less than a cup of fancy coffee at Starbucks. It costs less. It costs 6 times less than buying a daily newspaper. I mean, it's not expensive at all. Again, you can subscribe at www.appliedmetabolics.com. When you subscribe, I'll send you an invitation to join my private Applied Metabolics Facebook page, where it's like a supplement. Each day, I put new information on nutrition, exercise, medicine, right off the press. I mean, hot stuff. I'm talking about day by day. It's all in my Applied Metabolics Facebook page, and I'll send you an invitation to join that once you subscribe. It's only for subscribers. Subscribers can send me short questions. Subscribers can send me short questions. Anything they might have read. Hold on a second. Let me hang up on this. Anything they might have read in my Applied Med. Hold on a second. Oh, anything you might have read, if you're a subscriber in my Applied Metabolics newsletter that you want to have a question about, or if you have a question about anything else that might come to mind pertaining to nutrition or exercise, I will answer short questions submitted to me by subscribers. I don't answer unsolicited questions. However, this is a service I give to my subscribers because of my appreciation of their subscription and their support of my work. So you're welcome to leave short comments, whatever comments, under these videos. Depending on my mood, sometimes I'll answer them. Most of the time I won't, because I'm not trying to be nasty. I just don't have the time. But if you have ideas for future videos, I'm open to that. If I think that a topic will interest a good number of people, I will try and do a video on it and give you the facts that are known about that particular topic, all science-based. I'm not going to do crazy stuff like one guy wanted me to do a video on urine therapy. And strangely enough, a couple of months later, there was some crackpot was telling people that they could treat COVID-19 by drinking their own urine. And this guy actually recommended that, not for COVID-19, but as a health mechanism. He said, do a video on urine therapy, So I didn't do it, but I did recommend that there is a authoritative book that he could read called, it's called Urine Therapy for Health and Disease by I.P. Daly. I recommended that to him because I'm not going to do the video. So take care. If you want to have the best friend you'll ever have, go to your local shelter, adopt a dog. And in case you're wondering, I did have, since I talked about COVID, full disclosure, I had the 2 COVID injections from Pfizer, and then later on I got a booster from Pfizer, and I don't regret it. And I'm going to tell you, honest truth, I'm looking at you right in the eye, I did not have any serious side effects from any of those injections. The worst thing I got, I think it was the second injection. I had a bit of a headache that lasted 4 hours, and in the injection site where they injected me in the shoulder, about 2 hours after the injection, it was very sore, also lasted about 4 hours. As a matter of fact, I actually went to the gym and trained and had no problem with my workout the same day I got the injection. So don't believe all the crap you read about how dangerous the injections are, all this nonsense that they write. I have to admit, when I was sleeping after the booster shot, a little microchip fell out of my ear, and when I looked at it close, it said Microsoft. I think Bill Gates put that. No, I'm just joking. There was no microchip. So take care. Thanks for listening.